Mind Body Life show hosted by Frederick Entenmann on Global Voice Radio on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. During his show, Mind Body Life founder and best-selling author Frederick Entenmann investigates the little-known insights and daily methods used to create explosive life transformations and transitions with those that have risen from struggle and ascended to greatness. Here is your Mind Body Life host, Frederick Entenmann.
Welcome to episode 21 of the Mind Body Life show. I'm your host, Frederick Entenmann. I'm a former professional athlete, a best-selling author of Surviving Sports, The Game of Life, a coach and consultant, and I help professional athletes create lasting success beyond sports and win the game of life. Today I'm going to talk about nutrition and recovery. And specifically, what I'm going to start with is pain and inflammation. I think there's a foremost topic as not only athletes have more demands, but as we've progressed through time, there's better modalities. And I think athletes as a whole are finally starting to wise up and see that big pharma really is not the answer to mask a lot of that pain and inflammation. You know, pain and inflammation basically are common chronic symptoms among athletes, as well as the general public, for that matter. And in mild form, they can sap energy and really reduce performance. And then when severe, you know, pain and inflammation can completely be incapacitating. There's nothing worse than having pain in your joints or lasting pain in your muscles. It's just hard to get up and move and be motivated. There's nothing more debilitating to an athletic career than pain and inflammation. And I've seen firsthand that if you take the preventative and nutritional approaches to eliminate or at least reduce them, your quality of life will become exponentially better. And taking the appropriate steps to free yourself from pain and inflammation takes knowledge and effort. And even hired an expert, one of the best in the business, coach and consult to be your guide and mentor and hold you accountable, someone such as myself. That's why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, because I've been there. I actually needed someone myself. That's how I got into this. You know, the cause of exercise-induced inflammation is really microscopic damage to your tissues during training. And then it's the lack of recovery that's really the overwhelming issue. Inflammation is really an immune system response to tissue damage, like I said, but its function is to remove cellular debris from the site of damage and then initiate repair. So when muscles are inflamed, they're typically sore and also lose strength in the process. They also lose endurance. And as you know, when you're stiff, they lose range of motion. So the key elements, as I see it, is a former pro and a guy who broke 4-minute mile mark. You know, I had to really know a lot about these issues. And the way I see the key elements in addressing these problems are your body chemistry. You have to really know that, hydration, and of course, nutrition. But first, I want to talk a little bit about alkalization. This is a new term, but I think it's finally coming to the forefront. You know, alkalization is really a new buzzword, if you may, in the performance industry, but a lot of people don't even know what it is. If anything, we learn about alkalization or an alkalized, even the term, briefly in chemistry, right? And like the very planet on which you live, okay, your body is 70% water, basically. Your brain is 83% water, and your muscles are 75% water. These are base numbers. Having 4 degrees and over 10 certifications in every realm of health and wellness and fitness and psychology, you know, I usually get my research from the best, and that would be Harvard and Stanford, mostly. But, it's like the oceans, and the pH of your body's sea is absolutely critical, okay? Your blood has to maintain a pH of around 7.3. And if that pH is only slightly altered to just, for example, 7.0 or a little below, which is more acidic, of course, you die from poisoning by your own blood over time. So the more acidic your body is, the less energy you'll have. And it causes these aches and stiffness. It affects all levels of performance on the cellular level, okay? So what this means, if this scientific jargon is kind of confusing and you're not following, in layman's terms, without getting too technical, is that raising your body pH level from acidic to alkaline may help to reduce some symptoms of inflammation and pain, is what I'm saying, okay? Some symptoms of a low pH, or you could even say acidosis, are chronic muscle pain or cramps, constant fatigue, easily running out of breath when in fact you know you're fit and have put in your time, feeling like you can't get enough air. A saliva pH test may be helpful. When your pH level falls, your body actually attempts to regulate itself in a natural way by capturing and then storing some excessively acidic substances in organs such as your kidneys and liver and lungs, and then therefore maintaining that optimal blood pH. Your body's very intelligent. It's going to find a way at the end of the day. We've survived for thousands and thousands and thousands of millennia. So these acidic substances ultimately begin to attack your healthy cells, and then that causes them to be toxic, even damaged and then sick. So, and also known as disease. So in time, if the issue isn't addressed, these cells can grow uncontrollably and then spread to other parts or organs in your body. And some of the reasons for chronic acidosis, like what I'm talking about in the 21st century, are really, it's a diet high in meat and sugar and highly processed food. And that's basically everywhere in the American culture. We're really sadly based around consumerism and how fast can I get food? Just the pace of life, and unfortunately, very smart marketers in the money workforce, making trillions of dollars by fooling you to think you're actually eating real food. That's the whole shame of this whole situation. And then, of course, Big Pharma ties into that whole process. You catch my drift. I speak the truth, and the truth can be hard for some, but that is truthful as I can be. So really, you hear this all the time, overconsumption of caffeine and alcohol, a little bit goes a long way with the body, okay? So everything in moderation. I look at, when I played professional basketball overseas, I was exposed to Mediterranean cultures. And I've done a lot of research on the Mediterranean type diet and nutrition, and they all drink in moderation. The coffees aren't ventis. They're these tiny little espressos. The wine glasses are smaller. The meals are smaller, but it's a combination of the substances in creating that proper environment that keeps them healthy, and they get a ton of sunlight. But, majority of the blue zones where it's been proven where humans have the best life and have the greatest vitality and live the longest are in these the majority are in these Mediterranean cultures. So there's something to that. You're really a huge chunk of the problem are pesticides and the additives and all the growth hormones used to make and grow our fake food. And one of the best ways, the absolute best ways to combat a low pH or acidosis is to flush the body with alkaline water. And additionally, you could eat alkaline-rich foods such as, your greens like kale and cucumber and celery and spinach, crunchy things with texture. Avocado's a fruit, but it's great for you. Broccoli and bell peppers, these are fantastic for you. Just eat some of these every single day, get them in your body, and you'll be healthier. You'll feel better, look better. And for the most benefit, actually eat them raw. Now I want to go back to water. Not all water is created equal. You are what you consume, literally. If you drink acidic water, you're going to be acidic. Most sodas and carbonated beverages are around a pH of 4.0. This is acidic. If you drink alkaline ionized water, your body will become alkaline. And I know there's a lot of individuals selling these that make these claims with the pH of water. Just do your diligent research. And at the end of the day, if I've sparked your interest, I can connect you with a wide area of individuals that know more about this and actually sell those water purifiers. The pH of most purified and distilled water is around actually 5.0 to 6.0. So if your cells don't get the buffering they need from the water that you provide them, you're going to pull alkalizing mineral salts from your bones and muscles and elsewhere in the body. And these areas will be more vulnerable to pain and inflammation, disease, and overall, this is where the low performance in athleticism comes in. Your body just won't function at its peak. And disease is less likely to thrive in an alkaline environment. This has been proven almost 100 years ago. This is not new knowledge, folks. Cancer and other debilitating, life-threatening diseases thrive in an acidic state. This is known. Why are people eating like they're eating? It's just bizarre. If we know this and suddenly you're a victim and you have cancer and you know that eating a certain way is going to provide the appropriate environment that's going to induce this. All cancer is and disease is your body speaking. So it just amazes me when people really have this victimhood mentality. There's too much of that. So the sooner you practice keeping your body in an alkalized environment, the healthier and more vital you will be. Alkaline water, I want to tell you, by the way, is extremely powerful. It really assists your body in balancing your pH by eliminating the strong acidic residue, and it does so without damaging your healthy cells. So an alkaline diet, is also high in hydrogen. And now it's also scientifically proven to be a significant holistic healing component. If you want to be healthy, if you want to be at your peak, if you want to induce longevity, vitality, all that good stuff, all you have to do is support your body with an alkaline diet. Seriously, that's a huge, huge part. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel less sluggish. Your soreness and inflammation will be reduced. You'll be less susceptible to cramping and the fatigue and injury. Your muscles are going to operate and recover better, and your athletic performance, it will improve. There's a reason why Tom Brady's still playing, and he also swears by a high alkalized diet. He knows this. He's putting it into practice with his TB12 practices, and he's prepared for post-career life already. The guy's on top of things. You're going to be just overall so much more resistant to disease. Quality of life's going to go up, I'd say at least 25 to 50%, if not more. If you don't have access to water that promotes alkalization, you can make it yourself from a basic recipe just to raise the overall alkalinity. All you have to do is basically take 1 teaspoon, not tablespoon, a little bit of Himalayan salt, which has got all your minerals, and 2 liters of clean filtered water, and then a few slices of an organic lemon. We want organic because we don't want the pesticides in there and the residue to ruin everything we're trying to do, okay? Yes, you have to watch every little step. You have to be aware of what you're putting in your body. So just fill a jar with like 2 liters of water, add the lemon slices, make sure you don't squeeze the lemon, add the teaspoon of Himalayan salt, and then cover the jar and let it stay overnight at room temperature. And in the morning, before eating or drinking anything else, drink 3 6-ounce glasses of the water. And this drink it will help you achieve the perfect alkaline balance in your body. And let me tell you, your body will be grateful and you'll appreciate your new performance and recovery levels. I do this personally, and it's just amazing. I can tell when I don't do it. I'll tell you that. From here, I think I'll make the transition into talking about hydration and the sports drink dilemma. I know I'm going to rock the boat here. The truth can be harsh, but let me tell you, it is clear that good hydration is vital to preventing and healing inflammation. We know that. And I've already discussed the benefits of alkalizing water, but what about all the specialized sports drinks that are available that just look like neon food coloring, which essentially they are chemically made and synthetically made in labs? There's always been a great deal of hype about sports drinks, and I know it can be difficult to figure out what is true and what is not. Please keep in mind, I've been an athlete and trained thousands of clients, okay? In recent years, the advertising has become focused on condemning the fast-acting sugars and claiming that these substances cause an energy spike followed by an energy crash that wreaks havoc on performance, right? So I just want to say, according to this viewpoint, slower-acting sugars and non-sugar carbohydrates are better because they're going to provide a steady supply of energy that does not terminate in a crash. So be very, very cautious about any claims from advertisements. And please keep in mind, at the end of the day, it's all about money, and they really don't care about you. They do not care about you. All these companies want to line their own pockets, and they really have their own motives. That's the harsh, blunt truth. I'm here to help you. And sometimes that involves making others uncomfortable. So sorry about that. What would the sports world do without the billions injected into sponsorship by corporations like McDonald's and Coca-Cola or Red Bull, things that have actually been proven to ultimately cause disease and kill people, leads to death? Yeah, sure, sports drinks can hydrate you, provide those electrolytes and even help you make the most of your exercise to some degree. But it's a deception. These are not miracle drinks, and they aren't really necessary even better than water, actually, especially when it comes to hydration. Unless you're like a professional athlete or an Ironman contender, you don't need the electrolytes that are claimed or even the calories associated from the sports drinks during your daily routine. And I just want to say, if you work out for like a half hour and then drink 3 Gatorades, you're consuming far more calories than you've burned during your workout. If your goal is weight loss, you aren't going to help yourself at all. Let's just say, a typical 20-ounce bottle has 130 calories in 34 grams of refined sugar. That's insane. It's the overconsumption of this amount of sugar that actually leads to the obesity and diabetes and heart disease. That's pretty sick in itself. And as far as building muscle, there's way better hydration alternatives than sports drinks, okay? Sports drinks have never really done much for me. personally, except cause me suffering through intestinal discomfort, and not to share too much information, but I'm talking about bloating and diarrhea and things that can really be devastating when you're trying to be at your highest, especially in a game. But since my 20s, I've really avoided them. And you can see, just look at the ingredient list of your sports drinks. They're all packed with items that your body doesn't even need, despite the claims of the big money sponsors, these oil slick people in their sports drink campaigns. It's disgusting. And I found that I'm particularly sensitive to food dyes as well. The research done on food dyes, it's incredible. It's been linked to cancer and ADHD and allergies, and they are synthetic, okay? They're not natural and certainly not designed for the human body. If there's anything man-made and it's synthetic and we know it has these side effects, why are you putting this in your body? Be aware, wake up, and think. That's all I'm asking. If you really want help, I'm giving it to you right here, okay? You may be tempted by sports drinks, and I know the marketing is madness. Like especially Red Bull, promote as energy drinks. It's insane. So be aware that these often contain very, very high levels of caffeine and other stimulants as well as huge amounts of sugar. And since that claim, now they're making sugar free, so to try to mask their lies. And they don't provide the kind of sustained energy you need for athletic competition anyway. And it can have exactly the opposite effect by causing poor sleep, crashing when the caffeine wears off, and not to mention the nutrient wasting by stealing your appetite from healthy foods and fluids. Stimulants, people that I've seen hooked on these drinks, they can really lead to dependence and nervousness and anxiety and tremors and rapid heartbeat called tachycardia, actually. And now new research has been proven to cause long-term neurological damage. Wonderful. And actually, stimulants have been even known to cause and lead to death in rare cases. It's crazy. People just keep blindly drinking this stuff. They actually cause significant dehydration. And like I said, they raise your blood pressure. You really should avoid them at all costs. And here's the bottom line. There's no big difference between regular soda pop and sports drinks. Don't be a victim of oil slick marketing tricks and sponsorships and advertising slogans that imply sports drinks belong to a different category. You only need to look at the ingredients to see the truth. Think, stop, take a step back, gain awareness. Stop being a victim. So, with all the hype, how do we figure out which choice is best? And the right answer is don't drink any of them at all. Don't support it. It's hurting. If you're on a team, it's hurting your teammates. Now, if attaining the highest level of performance and wellness and clarity and vitality are your goals, don't reach for the colorful, inviting brands and ingest drinks full of processed sugar and questionable chemicals. Go for the basic natural food sources. Like I said, I'll go back to water, especially alkalizing water. Truly is our best zero-calorie sports drink. And another healthy alternative would be, I'd say, all-natural coconut water with its benefits. The multi-billion-dollar business model of using the athlete as a platform, it's probably trillion by now, for marketing will always be around. And when athletes finally wake up and realize that money is not the see-all, do-all at the end of the day, that they might stop doing commercials, especially with McDonald's, which is just sickening. And, you don't have to give in to false programming. Just because a product uses your sport or because an agent offers you incentives and hooks you up for the almighty dollar. It drives me nuts. Do not sell, stop. Just stop the madness and stop selling your soul. Stop, in the end, acting like a victim and realize when you make those decisions, you're just being a slave of the whole system. Make an effort to consider carefully the decisions and choices you make if you're a professional athlete. Hey, if you don't like what I'm hearing, then I'm glad, because if I can offer a different position or alternative way of looking at things, good. I hope this makes you uncomfortable, because like I said, the truth can be uncomfortable. And like anything else, proper nutrition is all about being smart about your choices. It requires a huge amount of awareness and constant learning before before anything becomes automatic. So support the pure natural options that provide your body with the best fuel sources. Why not? They're readily available. Oh, it's too expensive, and Whole Foods is too expensive. And really, at the end of the day, it's not. So take good care of yourself and support your health so you can feel better. And when you feel better and your pH is higher, you're going to have a better impact, not only on yourself, but when you improve yourself, you're improving others as well. We're all in this together, people. I get a lot of questions about nutrition and supplementation as well. So proper nutrition helps the body guard against inflammation and actually supports recovery. There's specific nutrients that are particularly beneficial. So for an athlete, eating well is absolutely essential. So we recover and then constantly can push and achieve even higher. It goes without saying. I also believe supplementation is critical to gaining an edge in athletics, especially the higher you go. So you almost have to take supplements because the overall density of the vitamins and minerals in our foods aren't the same either, because we've managed to destroy the soil. That's a whole nother topic, but performance enhancement scandals have been given the practice of supplementation really a very negative connotation. And I'm simply talking about supplementation as indulging in items such as fresh squeezed organic juices and homemade smoothies, in addition to taking the additional vitamins and minerals in form of a capsule, chewable, or powder. And the bioavailability of the nutrients in supplements is 100% compared to food, which I said, it's very unpredictable these days. So overall, you can no longer count on vegetables and fruit to be the packages of these concentrated nutrients that they once were. So some of the claims they just aren't true. And at a time when most people aren't coming close to getting 5, let alone 9 servings, your recommended servings of fruits and vegetables per day, it really seems pointless to ask whether they're professional athletes or people in general to eat more to get the same nutrients. I hope that makes sense. Supplements have actually proven their worth in scientific studies, by the way. Me personally, I've tried everything on the market. When I mean everything, I mean everything. I've never, ever taken anything anabolic or put a needle in my body. But when it comes to supplementation, you betcha. I've tried every protein powder and recovery aid out there. And my personal favorite these days, because of the staff that in the scientists that it has, I'd say one of them is Life Extension. Look it up. Even Dr. Mercola says it's legit. It's backed by science in studies. Moving on, many diseases can either be prevented by or, overall ameliorated by the right nutrients given in supplement form. I'm talking about cancer, I'm talking about heart disease or bone loss and stroke, and even your eyes, like macular degeneration. So you simply want to increase your vitamins and minerals. And over the long term, the benefits can really add up. Now, you can actually now see the benefits by getting a blood test. It's that simple. Stop guessing and actually see the work that's taking place over time. Supplementing your already healthy diet with vitamins and minerals can actually benefit you through, again, increased performance and increased vitality, and then decrease the chances for any diseases down the road. And the point is to increase longevity and feel healthy in the process, right? We all want more energy, we want to feel better, look better. I'm giving you the answers. You just have to take the action, stop being a victim, and take personal responsibility for yourself. Supplementation is actually simple. It now comes in many easy-to-use forms, whether it's pills or tabs or like effervescent that dissolves in your water or grounded up powders put in a smoothie. So maintaining proper nutrition practices to prevent inflammation is actually going to a more pain-free life down the road. And looking back on my own journey, it's the preventative approaches, it's the holistic approaches with which I managed my pain and inflammation, or lack thereof, that led me to having a 40-plus-year-old body that actually behaves more like a 20-year-old today. My top supplement recommendations for vitality, recovering inflammation, are actually turmeric or curcumin. It's going to be your green juices in your smoothies. It's going to get your vitamin D3. It's going to be your resveratrol, your reishi mushrooms, and garlic and onion, cucumber, broccoli, kale, celery, lemon and lime, spirulina, chlorella, ginger, parsley, omega-3 fatty acids. Let's move on to proper food as fuel. Just like all water is not created equal, all food is not created equal. And I've experienced both sides of the spectrum, eating the right foods and certainly the wrong foods as well. Don't forget, I've been through college more times than most. I've actually been to 6 colleges overall and have attained 4 degrees. So I know a thing or two about, fast food or ramen noodles. Now, optimum nutrition is my absolute priority and always has, okay? And it's because I've always been consumed and obsessed with improving my physical performance, increasing my mental clarity, enhancing recovery, and then promoting and exhuming that emotional well-being. Because let's face it, when you're around a vibrant, healthy-looking person, it's contagious, and you want a part of that, right? And there's so much information available on diet and nutrition these days, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed, if not confused. Hey, sometimes I feel confused. It's ridiculous what's out there. A large part of my effort in advising and coaching and consulting my professional athlete clientele, and CEOs and entrepreneurs, or even the general public that choose to take that step and want that accountability and contact me, it's really devoted a large portion to that nutritional education, because that you can control. You have complete control over that. And to begin with, it's important to realize that in order to achieve total wellness and vitality, your awareness needs to be shifted from being, again, a victim and taking full responsibility That's it. It's so simple. And the bottom line is this: by and large, the food industry as a whole is not interested in your health. It's rather interested in your green, in your coin, in your money. There's some very clever people that know how to manipulate, brainwash, and spread the false propaganda to get you to stop thinking and just hand over your money. That's what we've come to. Sad but true. So, yes, we've all been to some degree manipulated or misinformed and led to believe that we're eating real food sources. It's disgusting. And let me tell you, a chemically engineered ingredient created in a laboratory is not nutrition. Just read, for example, okay, Fast Food Nation by Eric Schlosser. That was published by Houghton Mifflin in 2001. But that would be a good start, just to understand more and gain that perspective. Read Fast Food Nation by Eric Schlosser. Moving on, I'm so passionate about helping people. And I just urge you to take the extra steps in honoring your body as well as the environment. It makes me sick in my stomach to think that, I just read numerous articles over this past weekend about how the Great Barrier Reef is almost half its size already due to us not treating the environment correctly. It's really sad. So become a consciously aware consumer, or who knows what the future beholds. And I'm talking about my children and possibly grandchildren or in the future. Think carefully about your choices, even though it takes a little more time. Isn't it worth the effort? And it seems like an easy choice especially when your performance, health, and well-being are at risk. But let's just look at the bigger picture. I look at it this way: by supporting a destructive and dishonest system, I'm cheating my gifts and my life. I'm actually affecting the environment as well. And a destructive pattern of choices leads to nothing but negative consequences. Goes without saying that what you put in your body is all about chemistry. You are a living, breathing, biological being. So whatever you put in your body, again, it's going to have a profound effect one way or another. So why not make it the positive way? Negative or positive, there's going to be a reaction at the end of the day. There's really good reasons to take the extra steps and buy strictly organic and locally fresh produce. And I recommend shopping at your local farmer's market, your local organic store, or eating at farm-to-table concept restaurants. Always be mindful and prepared. It's essential when it comes to eating for performance. And actually, that leads me to a little story here. I'll never forget that on team road trips during my first year in college, we're given $5 for lunch and $10 for dinner. Pretty sick in the sense that's all the money we got anyway, but that's what happens when you go to a bush league school that doesn't really support its athletes. Honestly, what did they think we're going to eat? That's what I want to know. And I have everyone thinks a Division I athlete leads this luxurious, glorious life. Well, that's the NCAA. That's the media. That's these big business people actually making all the money off of us, the athletes. And at the end of the day, you know what? We're starving. And then on top of that, to add insult to injury, we are not allowed to work. How about that? So not to go on a tangent here, but I ate fast food, of course, which for me, actually, In my first year of college, it was a new experience for me, as my parents always abhorred and never supported the fast food industry, and I actually never had much of it. But I could easily have eaten, some makeshift salad, but the first time I went for, the burger and the fries and the shake, and I remember feeling I was actually stuck in sludge and having to run to the bathroom at halftime. It was really awful. And that was a terrible day with, excess of the fatty processed meat and carbohydrates and sugars just sitting in my stomach. My performance was hindered severely. And actually, it was one of my worst days in my career. I had one of the most sluggish games I've ever had. There wasn't anything in the tank to reach for when I needed it. And it was really a harsh lesson on how to not eat correctly, and how it really affected my performance. I wised up quickly, I'll tell you that. And I don't think I ate any fast food during any other season after that either. I began to understand that there was a correlation between athletic performance and honoring my body by choosing the proper food sources. Plant-based diets are increasingly promoted in the media and have actually they've gained popularity among athletes. Finally, these professional athletes are starting to wise up and take full responsibility. And over the past 10 years, I actually personally have cut my meat intake by about 85%. And now I regularly include raw plants and green juices in my diet. And if they're not there, my body speaks. I can feel it. I don't have the energy. I have the aches and pains, and the pangs start to slowly rise up. So I can honestly say that my physical condition is better now than it was 20 years ago, honestly. And thankfully, there's been a recent expansion, really, of a consciousness, of an awareness about diet and nutrition in the sports world. And increasing numbers of athletes are changing to plant-based diets. The more you learn about the differences between plants and animals' foods, the more sense it will make to you. Contrary to popular belief, we're really, as a biological being, we're not really designed to eat meat, okay? Our bodies have evolved and they actually can no longer process meat efficiently when you look at the whole spectrum, which this is not common knowledge because we're not taught this in school. It's insane. If we're not designed to eat meat, why do we? That's a great question. And it's really simple. We've been conditioned to eat meat. We're conditioned to believe that animal flesh is good for us and we're meant to consume it and it's going to benefit us at the end of the day. Hey, I've read indicative studies that yes, a little bit is good, but overall, I learned a great deal about physiology when I was a pre-med student. And actually during this time when I was studying like a maniac, okay, and I still read about 3 books a week and keep up with recent research. But just look at this differently as I give this information to you. It would probably really surprise you to know the following, okay? For most of human history, mankind, we've actually lived on a vegetarian diet. And the human body, it actually can absorb plant matter and turn it into a top grade fuel much, much more quickly than processed foods and meats. That might not be such new information, but it's true. Here's something incredible. Saliva in humans is not as acidic as that of flesh-eating or preying animals. And this more alkaline saliva, it actually does not act as efficiently on meat. Our stomach acid isn't strong enough to fully digest meat either. Meat putrefies within 4 hours after consumption, and in humans, the remnants can cling to the walls of our intestines for months or even years. Kind of disgusting, but this is, again, the truth. Intestines of carnivores measure about 5 feet long and are not really twisted and turned like the human intestine, which is approximately 20 feet long. All omnivorous and carnivorous animals eat their meat raw. For example, when a lion kills for food, it tears right into the stomach area to eat the organs that are filled with blood. And then while eating the internal organs, the lion laps the blood in the process of eating the dead animal's flesh. Even bears that are omnivores eat salmon and other fish raw. And if a deer is burned in a forest fire, a carnivorous animal, it will not eat its flesh. Even circus lions have to be fed raw meat or they will not eat. So I guess my point is, if humans were truly meant to eat meat, then we would eat all of our meat raw and bloody, be in our genetics and be in our design. However, just, the thought of eating such meat disgusts us. Raw meat. This is why we must cook it and then season it with a slew of our condiments like ketchup, mayo, mustard, and hot sauce and all that stuff, just to make the taste of it, of the flesh, palatable. And our consumption of meat has created a large industry that includes ranchers and slaughterhouses and meat processing plants. And unfortunately, livestock production has a dramatic impact on the environment. We know this, which is another thing. If we know this, why is it in production if it's ruining our earth as we know it? So you don't have to support it. The meat industry is now considered by many to actually be a lead contributor to global warming. Meat's not economically viable. It takes up to 16 pounds of grain to produce just 1 pound of animal flesh, and a large amount of land is required to graze the livestock and to grow the grain necessary to even feed them. So when you consider the collateral damage to the planet, I'm talking about soil erosion. I'm talking about desertification and the threats to indigenous species. This is for real. And it's clear that the land just could be put to much better use. As we are moving forward in the 21st century, I would think we would progress, people. So killing an animal with respect and dignity, if you've ever owned a pet or looked into another animal's eyes, another thing is we tend to differentiate between animals when in fact an animal is an animal. Okay? So, killing an animal with respect and dignity, as hunters did out of necessity to survive in the past, it's really, as I see it, it's quite different from growing animals industrially with no basic rights, fresh air, clean water, and space, and so on. When you actually sit down to think about this, it's just really sick. Because of the poor living conditions, and then combined with the slaughter methods that are at best cruel, but they usually amount to torture and are bound to have negative consequences at the end. That's really what I want you to think about. When animals are actually slaughtered, okay, taking this a step further, since we're talking about nutrition, fear and aggression enzymes are produced and actually end up in the muscle tissue of the meat that you are consuming, okay? And actually, some yoga practitioners abstain from meat because of this. Besides the rotting meat in their stomach, they simply don't wish to ingest all the negative emotions from the animal, which goes straight into the meat. And they actually feel that these emotions remain in the meat until the consumer ingests the flesh and then in turn may adopt the same emotions. So fruits and vegetables do not have emotions. Therefore, they don't release any emotional chemicals and hormones prior to being harvested. And the enzymes within fruit and vegetables supply the body with nutrients that will support a healthy state of body and mind. I'm talking about vitality. And, in recent years, athletes have become more aware of the health benefits of being actually a vegetarian. Am I go strong vegetarian and, someone like Rich Roll? No, I'm not. But I do like to educate and increase awareness. Okay. If you think that not eating meat is going to make you look scrawny or unhealthy, I want you to consider how densely muscular horses or cows or goats, gorillas and elephants and like rhinoceroses are. They're all herbivores. They also have a longer lifespan compared to the meat-eating carnivores. I find this really interesting. And many meat eaters actually believe that meat is the only good source of protein. In actuality, the quality of this protein is so poor that little of it can actually ever be utilized and used by humans at the end. This is due to an incomplete combination of amino acids. Amino acids are simply the building blocks of protein, okay? So the excessive amount of protein, by the way, the average American eats 5 times the necessary amount of protein. The excessive amount of protein in a meat eater's diet is actually unhealthy for humans. Gee, I wonder why the staggering rates of disease have gone up in the 20th and 21st century. It's really amazing. The large intake of fats from a diet high in meat can also result in having high levels of blood cholesterol. And another important health issue related to diet is colon cancer. Colon cancer has become big. This specific form of cancer has become, like I said, quite common. And it's triggered by the slow evacuation and the putrefaction of meat in the colon. I know that's gross, but there's your raw science. Lifelong vegetarians have a significantly lower risk of such an illness. So I think the question is, what is wellness? What is wellness? And it's often defined backwards. It shouldn't just be about avoiding sickness. It should be about how to feel fantastic. It's to digest meat. When we look at this, it takes a lot of work for such a little energetic reward. And of course, there's many people who eat meat and avoid sickness. There's no disputing that, okay? However, I know from personal experience that it's possible to feel even more incredible and lighter, okay? There's a lightness to it when you switch from meat to a vegetarian diet. Personally, I'm more pescatarian. I still have some fish. It's not like I eat fish every single day. A little bit of chicken, but overall, I really, really, really watch my meat, okay? I say I celebrate my meat when I eat it. But after eating a vegetarian diet, your body is going to be a lot lighter, possibly in terms of weight, but also think in terms of like light energy or photons, because we are water and light. Okay, at the end of the day, your body actually contains the light energy from the plants that you eat. The reason we eat is to gain energy, which on this planet ultimately comes from the sun, if you think about it. So when you eat a plant-based diet, you're getting that sunlight. Plants absorb the sun's energy and photosynthesis occurs. Yes, I was a biology major. And when you eat the plant, you absorb the energy and you feel amazing. When you eat a meat-based diet, you're getting secondhand sunlight. Makes sense? There's many more benefits associated with becoming a raw vegan or vegetarian than there are for staying a meat eater. You know, honestly, I'm not trying to downplay or be resistant, or I'm simply educating and trying to create awareness. Okay, I was a Midwestern Ohioan raised on meat and potatoes. I have a German background. I actually, looking back, I believed I had to eat meat and potatoes to get my bulk of nutrition, particularly protein, as an athlete. I think a lot of people have bought into that. And unfortunately, it wasn't until after my career that I explored the benefits of a raw diet. At 36 years old, on a largely raw vegan diet, I was able to break 4 minutes in a mile. It's always been a goal of mine. I knew I could do it in my 20s, but never really trained specifically for that. And I ended up running a 3:58.1. And I'm telling you, switching to a largely raw vegan diet was a large part of that. And changing your diet to raw and vegan can do wonders for your mind, your body, and your spirit as a whole. Every top achiever I've ever met or read about that ultimately abstains from a diet of meat, they have the same experience. For further insight into this journey, I think one of the foremost spearheaders or pioneers with this issue is Rich Roll. Go to his blogs and podcasts or follow him on Instagram and watch documentaries. Educate yourself on what's really happening. I think that's part of the problem. People buy into the propaganda in the mass oil slick marketing and then act like victims at the end of the day because they don't educate themselves. They don't gain that awareness. And then when the truth comes out, they're resistant to that truth. So go watch the documentaries like Fork Over Knives and Food Inc. Looking back as a meat eater, also, my immune system was consistently compromised. And honestly, I was tired and I was more sluggish and had this brain fog and the delayed recovery that I shouldn't have had. I really felt bloated, I guess is the proper word, and it had really countless episodes of, again, the GI tract was always upset or bothered. And at the time, I thought everything was normal because it was all I was used to. And in the end, I just want to say you're robbing yourself of your life potential if you're not prepared to eat correctly and you don't provide a proper fuel source for your body. You're doing yourself a great disservice and you're actually working against the natural flow of life. You are what you eat. You probably heard that before. There is truth in that cliche. I know it's trite, but it doesn't just refer to your physical self. It's deeper. It refers to every aspect of you, what you reflect, what you eat is actually reflected in your thoughts, in your desires, and your senses, your emotions, and your deepest self. So it's bigger than just eating. It's a chemical process that affects your entire physiology. Okay, it's all about energy, and it is in every aspect of your consciousness, because you are quite literally what you eat. So don't cheat yourself out of a vibrant, healthy lifespan. I think that's been pretty comprehensive, especially if you consider, I'm talking about nutrition and wellness and vitality. It can go on and on and on, but I want to thank you for tuning in. If you know of a professional athlete that's looking to take their life during their career or even after to new levels, looking to set themselves up for success in honors, investing in themselves and working on themselves and improving, wants that accountability and expertise, send them my way. Please forward this episode to any athletes you know. Always feel free to reach out to me via Instagram. All you have to do is look up Frederick Entenman, and I'm on there. If you want to link up with me professionally, I'm on LinkedIn. I also have a Facebook business page, and semi-active on Twitter as well. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope it's helped you out tremendously with value. Take care until next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us. Listen every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to Frederick Entenman host Mind, Body, Life. Connect with Frederick at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of Mind, Body, Life on Global Voice Radio.